Welcome back. As the number of civilians killed and wounded continues to mount in Israel, there's been a concerted effort abroad to support the country with demonstrations and donations being organized, including right here in Toronto. For more on this, we turn to Zed News videographer Lucius Graves.
He goes to this corner. Clothing over here. Miss.
In response to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the community has sprung to action in order to get supplies to those that are directly affected by the ensuing chaos.
People were being murdered and they were being butchered in their homes. So we are here to help them in this extremely difficult time. We donated everything from flashlights to socks to women's menstrual products.
I asked some of those that brought out charitable donations tonight what drove them to come down and support the cause.
We're all one people, you know, Kish Echad, Lev Echad. A lot of us have a lot of family and friends who are in Israel and who have been called up into the army.
I actually have a lot of family right now that are in the army, and cousins and family members and friends, and I want to be there and I want to support them, and this is, I feel like, the best way that I can do that.
Keep an eye out on social media for other pop-up charity drives such as this one in Toronto. I'm Lucius Graves for Zoomer News.
There is growing fear in Jewish communities around the world. We've seen demonstrations and social media posts from people openly celebrating the bloodthirsty massacre of civilians. France and parts of Germany have banned pro-Palestinian demonstrations because they've sparked an increase in anti-Semitic incidents. Here at home, the police have beefed up security, especially around Jewish and Muslim community centers, synagogues, and mosques. Stephen, what is the Jewish Federation doing?
So Jewish federations here in Toronto and across the country are working with police, working with their institutions to make sure that, yes, there's increased attention on Jewish community institutions and neighborhoods where there's large Jewish populations, but also that the community itself is vigilant, that it's observing in ways that it may not usually observe, and there's certainly a heightened state of awareness and cooperation with police. There always is, but this is a much higher level, and it shows how there's a direct connection. This isn't just a reaction to what's happening, but in fact, there's been specific calls. Today, as we sit here, Hamas called for a day of rage internationally, not just in Gaza, not just in the Arab world, but broadly. And we as Jews, we're one people. We're affected by this. We're affected emotionally, but physically as well in terms of a feel of a threat.
Well, absolutely. And I know that people have not been sending their children to school.
My son attends the preschool at our synagogue, and many of his classmates are not there today. And a lot of our parents, despite the increased security, feel very unsafe.
And what about you?
Yeah, my children go to Herschel, and both of them did not go to school today. And the entire class of my daughter did not go to school today. The parents had like long exchanges over the WhatsApp groups, basically saying that they decide to not to take the risk.
And going forward, what happens? Are people going back to school next week or what?
So we've advised our members that security has really improved. We've doubled it for the time being. The police have been really present, and we're just trying to encourage everybody to be observant, as Steve said, to be vigilant, and also to be present.
But Libby, I think, yes, there's this particular day with this particular threat, but I think if we've seen since this attack, and I'm speaking to unity, not about a government, unity with a government, but unity as a people, just to be clear, the community has come out across the country in tens of thousands all over the country, publicly, even though there's been discussion of the threat throughout the week. They've come out to collections like you saw in your video. They've come out to demonstrations. They've come out to their own synagogues, their own institutions, community centers, and ultimately the community here in Canada, and we've seen it in the last week, will actually be strengthened in solidarity by this. We've seen it. We're not going to cower in any way. This is our country, and this is our people. We have a connection that's unbreakable with Israel, and we are going to be stronger ultimately for this. Nobody will have us cower.
I just want to say one more thing. Tomorrow is Shabbat in our community. It's the last Shabbat before the new month in the Jewish calendar, and we will be saying a blessing for the new month as we do every month, which includes the phrase Chaverim Kol Yisrael, that we should not only be a united people in friendship, but as family together. And I think that also I want to say, in response to what Amos said, that when I speak of unity, I think it's amazing what the people have been doing to show unity, and that the government, any government, cannot divide that.
Before we go, let's hear some final thoughts from each of our guests.
The Jewish federations across Canada are raising tens of millions of dollars right now, record numbers, to support the kind of volunteers we've heard about in Israel, civil society in Israel, to strengthen it. We feel at home here in Canada. What we hope for, that's not lost in the days and weeks to come, is that our fellow Canadians will support Canadian Jews and also support the people of Israel in this fight against terror.
Rabbi Shaner.
I echo exactly what Steve said. I belong to a clergy curling group with lots of ministers of other faiths, and the silence that we have witnessed from them has been really crushing. I really hope that we will find support from not only within the Jewish community, but from around the world, and that the hostages will be released immediately.
Amos.
So I'm not the naive type. I've been around the block. Been involved in difficult operational decision-making, including targeted killings while serving as legal advisor of the West Bank, Gaza Strip. I've also negotiated officially and unofficially with Palestinians for about 2 decades. So at the end of the day, the end of the day, there will be no alternative. But for those of us who believe in the peace process, as incredibly difficult as it is to think about it at the moment, to sit around a table, an awkward, uncomfortable, maybe even a hate-filled table, because there is no alternative but to try to resolve this. I don't know if peacefully is the word, but in a constructive manner, because even if you bomb the hell out of Gaza today, tomorrow, next week, and the week thereafter, the Gazans are going to stay here. And we're going to have no choice but to negotiate with them to try to somehow resolve this seemingly intractable problem. I have 2 grandchildren. I have no interest whatsoever for them when they're of age to have to deal with this. And what we owe them is to try to resolve this, as difficult as it seems at the moment. And thank you so much for having me. Again, my heart goes out to those who are held hostage. Heartbreaking.
Yair.
I'm here in Toronto, but my heart these days is in Kfar. And the reason I'm here and the reason I talked in the rally on Monday is because I want to help the people in Kfar, Be'eri, and other places to raise money and rebuild. As we've already heard, the government involvement is limited. We have to help from here. And I feel that that is my role from here. I also agree with Amos that only peace can resolve these issues. Kfar had a big banner in the entrance, and this is a place that suffered years of mortar attacks. There was a big banner in the entrance that said, only through dialogue can we resolve this.
The road ahead for Israelis will be painful and long as it continues to grapple with the aftershocks of this attack and as it carries out a counteroffensive against Hamas. That's it for us this evening. To get in touch, send us an email at comments@thezoomer.com. As always, thank you to my panel and to you at home. For now, it's time to zoom out.